Ladies and gentlemen, what if I told you that almost everything you've been taught about attraction is wrong? That men don't chase beauty, they don't chase perfection, and they don't chase the woman who tries the hardest, they chase the woman who knows. A truth so powerful, it instantly separates her from every other woman he's ever met. A truth that flips the dynamic, pulls respect out of him, ignites pursuit in him, and makes him realize he needs to rise to deserve you. If you're tired of guessing, tired of chasing, tired of being overlooked, then what you're about to hear might just change everything. When you hear a phrase like the shocking truth that makes 95.7% of men chase you, it's easy to imagine some hidden technique, some secret line, some magical switch that instantly transforms the way someone sees you. But the truth is far more profound and far more powerful than anything superficial. It's not about tricking anyone, manipulating anyone, or pretending to be someone you're not. It's about unlocking the version of you that naturally activates pursuit, desire, curiosity, and commitment without you ever having to chase anyone again. Because the truth that pulls a man toward you, almost irresistibly, is the energy you embody when you know your worth, and you're no longer trying to earn someone's affection. You're no longer hustling for attention. You're no longer negotiating with your own value. You're no longer bending yourself into shapes to be chosen. You become someone who is already whole, already fulfilled, already intentional, already moving, someone he has to move toward if he wants a place in your world. Men don't chase mystery, they chase meaning. They chase significance. They chase someone whose presence elevates their life and whose absence they can feel. They chase the woman who doesn't audition for them, but invites them into a life she's already proud of. When a man meets a woman who carries herself with a quiet, anchored confidence, something inside him wakes up. Not because she's arrogant, but because she's grounded. She's not desperate for validation. She's not waiting by the phone. She's not reading between every line of every text. She's not letting her emotions be dictated by someone else's inconsistency. She knows that attention is not the same as intention, and she's only interested in the latter, and this alone is magnetic. What he senses is a woman who's not afraid to lose him, and that changes everything. Because here's the shocking truth. Men don't chase women who are perfect. They chase women who are unavailable to anything less than what they deserve. That distinction is everything. The moment you stop making yourself available for bare minimum behavior is the moment a man either rises to meet you or quietly exits, and either outcome is a win for you. Because the ones who leave were never going to offer what you needed anyway. That kind of certainty about yourself is rare, and scarcity creates value. When a woman values herself deeply, a man instinctively values her more, not because she demands it, but because she embodies it. She becomes the standard. She becomes the prize. She becomes the person he knows he can't treat casually because she doesn't treat herself casually. And the truth is, when you show a man that you are selective, that your time matters, that your energy matters, that your heart is not something he gets access to just because he showed up, he will lean in. Because men rise when they know they've encountered someone exceptional. Not someone cold, not someone playing games, but someone who has self-respect carved into the way she moves. There's a moment a man realizes he can't just drift in and out of your life. He can't breadcrumb you. He can't be inconsistent. He can't rely on charm alone. He can't disappear and return expecting the door wide open. And that moment happens when you show him you have standards that don't shake just because you like him. Men chase what they admire. And admiration grows when you're willing to walk away from what doesn't honor you. Most people are terrified to walk away from something they want, even when that thing isn't giving them what they deserve. But the woman who can walk away, the woman who isn't ruled by fear, the woman who loves deeply but refuses to abandon herself in the process, she is unforgettable. And when a man realizes he could lose someone unforgettable, he starts showing up differently. He starts investing. He starts paying attention. He starts being consistent. He stops taking you for granted because he understands that you are not replaceable. And you are not replaceable because you didn't make him your entire world. You kept your passions alive. You kept your friendships alive. You kept your standards alive. You kept your boundaries firm. You didn't abandon the life you built just because someone walked in. You made sure that any man who wants a place beside you has to match the pace of your growth, your character, your integrity, your joy. And here's what most women don't realize. Being easygoing is not the same as being easy to get. You can be warm, soft, kind, open-hearted, while still being selective, discerning, and impossible to impress with the bare minimum. You can be nurturing without being a doormat. You can be understanding without tolerating disrespect. You can be supportive without carrying someone's emotional load for them. This balance is what makes a man step up. Because a man doesn't chase a woman who gives everything away for free. He chases the one who gives in alignment, with effort, with reciprocity, with genuine connection, not with desperation, fear, or overinvestment. Men are wired to pursue, but they only pursue what feels valuable. And value isn't created by looks, status, or pretense. Value is created by the way you treat yourself when no one is watching, by the boundaries you set even when you're afraid someone might leave, by the discipline you have to choose long-term respect over short-term attention, by the emotional strength it takes not to let your heart steer the wheel without your self-worth in the passenger's seat. The shocking truth is that most women don't lose men. They lose themselves trying to keep men. And that loss of self is what kills attraction, not the absence of beauty or charm or effort. A man can feel it. He can sense when you've made him the center of your world. And instead of pulling him closer, it pushes him away, because suddenly there's no challenge, no pace to meet, no standard to rise to. He becomes the sun, and you become a planet orbiting him. But the woman men chase is the one who is her own sun, and he wants to be part of her universe. When you stop abandoning yourself, you stop chasing. And when you stop chasing, men start noticing. They start valuing. They start pursuing with intention instead of convenience. And the moment you match your energy to your worth, you enter the rare category of women, those 4.3% of the world, who inspire men to step into the best version of themselves, simply to stand beside them. And when a man senses that your world doesn't collapse without him, something shifts inside him. He starts to realize that your interest is a privilege, not a guarantee, and that privilege must be protected, nurtured, and earned. Not through grand gestures or forced charm, but through consistency, effort, and emotional presence. This isn't about making him feel insecure. It's about showing him that you are already complete, already living with intention, already thriving. And if he wants to be part of that, he must bring something real to the table. Because the moment a man understands that your happiness existed before him and will exist after him, he begins to value the time he does get with you. He becomes more careful with his words, more intentional with his actions, more mindful of the space he occupies in your life. He stops taking shortcuts. He stops assuming your forgiveness is automatic. He stops expecting that you'll always be waiting. He becomes someone who invests because he sees that your standards invite him to be a better man, not because you're demanding it, but because you're living. There's a specific kind of woman who makes a man rise to his full potential. She's not loud about her expectations. She doesn't lecture. She doesn't nag. She simply shows through the way she moves that her peace is priceless. She protects it fiercely. She doesn't entertain emotional chaos. She doesn't reward inconsistency. She doesn't glorify potential over reality. A man who encounters this kind of woman realizes that she will never settle for a connection that drains her. And that realization is often the biggest catalyst in making him show up fully. But here's the deeper truth. You don't attract this level of pursuit by trying to be impressive. You attract it by being intentional. When you know what you want, what you value, and what you refuse to tolerate, you naturally filter out the men who aren't meant for you. And that clarity creates room for the ones who are willing to step up. The world shifts dramatically when you stop letting your loneliness negotiate with your standards. Think of the moments in your life when you gave too much, loved too fast, sacrificed too early. You weren't wrong for loving. You weren't wrong for wanting connection. You weren't wrong for hoping someone would meet you halfway. The mistake was believing that your generosity would make him value you more. But the truth is, generosity without boundaries becomes self-betrayal, and self-betrayal suffocates attraction, because it tells a man that you will tolerate being treated less than you deserve. But when you shift from proving your value to protecting your value, everything changes. You begin to attract men who respect your time, your heart, and your softness. Men who show up because they want to, not because you're pulling them. Men who admire your independence without feeling threatened by it. Men who chase not because you're unavailable, but because you're aligned with exactly who you want to be. And let's be honest, being a woman who holds this kind of power doesn't mean you never feel vulnerable. It doesn't mean you never fall for someone deeply. It doesn't mean you never crave affection, consistency, or commitment. It simply means that even when you have feelings, even when you're hopeful, even when you genuinely want things to work, you don't abandon yourself. You don't give someone the authority to determine your worth. You can love someone and still choose yourself at the same time. This balance is rare, and that rarity is what makes a man pursue you with everything he has. Men are drawn to women who have emotional maturity, women who can communicate without chaos, express needs without fear, and set boundaries without hostility. This kind of emotional intelligence is magnetic. It makes a man feel safe, understood, inspired, and challenged in the best way. He knows that being with you won't be a roller coaster of uncertainty, but a journey of growth. And a woman who offers both warmth and wisdom becomes unforgettable. But what really drives a man to chase is seeing that your life is already full. Not busy, full. Busy means chaotic, overwhelmed, unavailable in a way that feels closed off. Full means enriched by your passions, your friendships, your self-care, your ambitions, your routines, your joy. Full means you're not sitting in a corner waiting to be chosen. You are choosing yourself every single day. And anyone who enters your life must bring something that adds harmony, not noise. When a man sees that you have a life you're proud of, he becomes motivated to add to it rather than replace it. He wants to complement your world, not become the center of it. And that is the core of true pursuit. Not a man chasing a woman who needs him, but a man pursuing a woman who inspires him. The shocking truth is that a man doesn't chase because you're beautiful. He chases because being with you feels like stepping into a higher version of himself. He feels more disciplined, more ambitious, more thoughtful, more grounded, more alive. You elevate the standard of how he treats you and how he treats himself. You make him want to be the man he knows he can be, but he only feels this when you are brave enough to be yourself fully, when you stop shrinking your personality, your dreams, your strength, or your boundaries to make him comfortable, when you stop pretending you're fine with things that actually hurt you, when you stop accepting crumbs and hoping they'll turn into a feast, when you stop dimming your light so someone else's insecurity isn't triggered. Men chase the woman who shines, not the one who hides. And shining doesn't mean perfect. It doesn't mean polished. It means genuine. It means showing your quirks, your humor, your ideas, your radiance. It means being expressive without fear. It means showing up as the woman you would be even if no one was watching. Authenticity is magnetic. Authenticity pulls. Authenticity inspires pursuit. But the deepest layer of attraction, the one that makes a man truly chase, is your emotional availability combined with your self-respect. When you can be open without being overgiving, loving without being self-sacrificing, committed without being dependent, a man realizes he's found something rare. He sees that you are capable of deep connection, but you're also capable of walking away if that connection isn't honored. The woman who has her heart open but her standards intact, she is the one men chase for a lifetime. And as you move through your life with this awareness, everything becomes easier. You stop asking, why isn't he choosing me? And start asking, is he even worthy of being chosen by me? You stop overanalyzing mixed signals because mixed signals immediately stop being interesting. You stop worrying about whether you're enough because you know that anyone who makes you question your worth isn't aligned with your future. You become a woman who trusts timing, who trusts alignment, who trusts that the right man will pursue with intention, consistency, and clarity, not because you demanded it, but because he recognized your value from the moment he met you. And that recognition, that desire to step up, that instinct to chase, comes not from what you give to him, but from what you've already given to yourself. And when you live from that place, where your worth is non-negotiable, and your energy is intentional, you start to notice that the men who once confused you no longer have access to your emotional world. The ones who offered inconsistency now feel like a distant memory. The ones who played games now feel small, almost unrecognizable, because the version of you that tolerated those behaviors is gone. You've stepped into a new chapter where your standards are not a weapon, but a mirror. They reflect the kind of connection you deserve, and anyone who cannot rise to meet that reflection simply fades out of your story. This shift doesn't make you colder, it makes you clearer. Clarity is what dissolves anxiety, what ends overthinking, what stops you from chasing validation you should never have needed in the first place. Clarity is what frees you from the exhausting cycle of trying to interpret every message, every pause, every excuse. When you are clear about what you deserve, you no longer wait for someone to wake up and treat you right. You know that the right man won't need reminders. He will recognize your value naturally and act accordingly. And that clarity becomes the force that makes a man chase you, not out of fear, but out of respect. Respect for your depth, respect for your boundaries, respect for the way you show up. Men chase what they respect. They chase what feels rare. They chase what challenges them in a healthy, grounding way. And when a man feels that your presence brings him closer to the man he wants to become, he becomes relentless in his pursuit. Not because he's trying to win you like a trophy, but because he realizes that losing you would be losing the kind of connection he may never find again. But here's where the shift deepens even more. The moment you embody this level of self-worth, you stop seeing pursuit as a validation of your value. You stop needing the chase to feel chosen. You stop measuring your worth by how much effort someone gives you. Instead, pursuit becomes something you simply allow, something you observe. It becomes a byproduct of the life you're living, not the goal. You stop trying to persuade someone to care. You stop proving yourself. You stop bending backward to show someone why they should choose you. You understand that any connection that requires you to shrink yourself is a connection that was never meant to last. And when you know that, when you truly internalize it, you become emotionally untouchable, not hardened, but unshakable. Your heart remains soft, but your boundaries become steel. This is the moment where men feel something new, something they can't quite explain. They feel that you are different, not because you're hard to get, but because you are hard to replace. You don't generate this feeling by withholding affection or playing games. You generate it by being authentic while maintaining self-respect. You show affection without losing independence. You express interest without losing standards. You offer warmth without losing boundaries. That combination is extremely rare, and rarity creates value. But what truly sets you apart is not just what you demand from others. It's what you demand from yourself. You hold yourself accountable. You pursue your own growth. You build a life that reflects your excellence. You focus on becoming the kind of person who is aligned with the love you want. And when you hold yourself to that level, you naturally attract someone who can meet you there. Men chase women who are aligned with themselves. There is something extraordinary about a woman who knows who she is, knows what she stands for, and knows what she brings to the table. A woman who won't abandon her dreams for someone else's comfort. A woman who won't silence her voice for someone else's ego. A woman who won't downgrade her life just to make someone feel like they're enough. This kind of woman doesn't intimidate the right man, she inspires him. And inspiration is the fuel of pursuit. The right man won't chase you because you're distant. He'll chase you because your presence awakens his desire to be a better man. He'll chase because he sees potential. Not just potential in you, but potential in both of you together. He'll chase because he recognizes that connection with you feels different. It feels intentional. It feels meaningful. It feels like something he wants to protect. But none of this happens if you abandon your own standards in moments of loneliness. Emotional discipline is one of the most powerful forms of attraction. When you refuse to settle just because you're tired of waiting, you elevate yourself into a realm where only men with real intentions can reach you. You become someone a man worries about losing, not because he's insecure, but because he knows that women with strong standards have strong options. And options give you power, not the superficial kind of power that makes you feel superior or untouchable, but the deeper power that comes from choice. When you know you can choose, you no longer cling to someone who isn't choosing you. You don't plead for effort. You don't chase for clarity. You don't beg for love. You simply observe actions and respond accordingly. That composure is what makes a man step up, because a man realizes that if he doesn't choose you with intention, someone else will. And that someone else will be a man who recognizes your worth immediately, who cherishes your energy naturally, who respects your boundaries effortlessly. And that thought alone becomes the quiet motivator that drives a man to act with urgency and sincerity. But what seals the deal, what makes 95.7% of men chase you, is something deeper than standards, deeper than confidence, deeper even than self-worth. It's the emotional experience of being around you. Men chase the woman whose presence feels like a combination of peace and passion, the woman who brings calm to their stress and fire to their ambition, the woman who makes them feel heard, understood, appreciated, but without losing herself in process. This duality is irresistible. You become the woman whose presence enriches their life, not complicates it. The woman who brings curiosity instead of pressure. The woman who brings inspiration instead of expectation. The woman who brings openness without obsession. When a man feels that balance, he becomes deeply invested, not because he's afraid of losing you, but because being with you feels like winning. The truth is, when you step into your fullest expression, your confidence, your softness, your standards, your joy, you create a powerful gravitational pull. Not the frantic pull of someone who needs attention, but the quiet, undeniable pull of someone who commands it effortlessly. A man feels it in the way you walk, the way you speak, the way you carry yourself. He feels it in the boundaries you set, the passions you pursue, the integrity you embody. He feels it in your silence as much as in your words. And in that moment, he realizes he's not chasing you because you're difficult. He's chasing you because you're extraordinary.